back at it again. I know this looks like absolute sheen quality. This is something I got second hand and gave to my boyfriend, and I am staying at his house and didn't want to wear my same clothes. But today we're talking about Stephen King, Misery, and I'm going to be honest, that's his bookmark. I personally got to page 79 and I did not finish this book. Now, this is my boyfriend's book and I absolutely love the cover, although I'm not entirely sure how much of it is actually... It says cover illustration by Matt Saunders with cover images from shutterstock.com and then in brackets textures. So I'm hoping that is, you know, mostly drawn or digital drawn or whatever art's used. But I do like to give a shout out to the illustrators, the cover designers, and other people who work on these books, as well as the authors. Now, you're probably wondering, Arimi, why did you not finish Stephen King's Misery? And I'm going to be brutally honest, I didn't like it. It was horrific, it was gory, and I thought that his #1 fan was a little too crazy too soon. I like it when you're slowly introduced to the character, and it didn't feel like, personally, this was a slow introduction. It was rather, she's just crazy. And as someone who is on a high dosage of a lot of medication at the moment, for various issues, did not like, not one bit. Annie Wilkes is very psychotic. She's very... I feel like if I continued reading this book and I did finish reading it, I would know where she's getting the medication from that she's giving to Paul. But it just reminded me of quite this... Stephen King is known for being gruesome. But this book was just, other than the cover, I really struggled to read this book. First off, I don't like the format of this book. Now, I might be able to find this book in a format which is more agreeable to me. One of the things that I am struggling with personally is, if I show you just a bit here, you've got chapters that are starting in the middle of pages, and it's more of a format issue for me personally and a preference thing. Sometimes when authors do that, it makes sense. Sometimes when they do it, it's a style choice. Now, I do believe it is a style choice in this book, but it's a style choice I'm not comfortable with, and it just makes the book feel chunkier. But then I imagine if it didn't have those chapters in, that this book would potentially be a lot thicker. So I can appreciate the saving paper and the shorter chapters, especially as this is, I believe, a thriller book, and I'm not particularly familiar with thriller books, and that is something that it's not really a genre I go down. But I did like it. I have enjoyed quite a few of Stephen King's books before. Another thing I want to mention is there are multiple spelling errors in this book, and I don't know if that's just this, you know, if this is just the publisher, how that's gone through, if that's a style choice. It didn't feel like a story choice. I did not finish at 79 pages in the book because it just kept irking me. Don't get me wrong, this book really grossed me out, the way that it is describing a lot of hallucinations, a lot of overdose. There's like themes of like overdose trauma, physical trauma. I've turned around to my boyfriend a few times and asked him to explain some sentences which did not make sense to me. There was like, his legs are broken. I thought he was hallucinating having pins instead of like legs and knees, but it turns out that no, the entire bottom half of his knees gone. And then when I understood that, it was like the imagery that came with it. One thing Stephen King is known for is he is the king of horror, quite often described as that. But this book, it was so much of it was going over my head. I was struggling to pace myself with it. Although what I will say is that because it's not a format I'm familiar with, it did take me longer to read what I did read, so I had to slow my reading down. The font is smaller than what I am used to. The chapters being very weirdly paced, like some chapters are like a couple of pages, like they might be 10 pages. Other chapters are literally half a page. That was an interesting way of pacing the book, but overall I did not finish this book. I couldn't get into it, and as much I did want to know if the main character Paul lives, but at the same time I'm also praying for him to just not end up dead. And I was also very dissatisfied with the discovery that Misery, when I read the back of the book, I thought Misery was a real person. She's not. She's a fictional character, which makes it reminds me of that toxic fandom. It reminds me of the toxicity of that sort of side of culture, something that I grew up with, and I understood it. I struggle with it. There's definitely trauma there for me that I could not enjoy this book. I do want to say that the graphic style, the way that the book is, the front cover, absolutely beautiful. The back, stunning. But the way that this book is laid out, it is just very difficult for me to wrap my brain around. And as someone who's used to certain formats, not having chapters that start on new pages was very confusing for me. And also the fact that this is a published book by Stephen King, the King of Horror, and there being spelling errors is overall very confusing. So this is not one of his best works, but hopefully my next Stephen King book will be better. So that's my summary of the 79 pages that I have read of Stephen King's Misery. If you did enjoy this book, let me know what you did. If you did enjoy this book, let me know what you or you have read it. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments. I'm fine with spoilers if you want to discuss in more detail the book Misery. And also, if you didn't enjoy this, let me know why you didn't enjoy it. I'm not giving it a star rating because I don't know what I'd even rate this. The spelling errors, the styling choice, and if it was a styling choice, and a lot of like the really gory details makes it very difficult for me to rate this on a scale. For me personally, I just know this is a book I did not finish. But I do want to keep trying to because I do reading Stephen King's books. And thank you to Nathaniel Burns, who I will tag in the description, for lending me his copy of Misery, and I left his bookmark in so that he didn't lose his place. And also thank you for having the patience and being willing to describe some very confusing scenes to me, because there were parts of this that just did not make sense. Like, I understood a lot of the medical terminology used, I understood a lot of the hallucinations, but the back cover to what story was actually presented felt like two different worlds entirely, and it was very confusing. But yeah, see you in the next one.